Hey guys, this is the Ecron Writer here. Welcome to another vlog. It's been a while since I've done these things. But, yeah, as you guys already know, Cary Tagawa has passed away last night, as of this recording. So, I just want to put my final thoughts out there. Yeah, I only know Cary Tagawa as Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat, the first Mortal Kombat film. He was the ideal choice of Shang Tsung.
Your brother's soul is mine.
Yeah, I really am gonna miss this guy, but there's like nobody else I would pick for Shang except for that guy in Defenders of the Realm. I forgot what his name was, but he was pretty good. Just contrary to whoever else they had, like in the 3D games or the reboot. I'm not doing the running gag. I hate MK9, and I hated their choices. I hated almost everything. But it wasn't Cary. It was just so bad. And he never came back until MK11 and Aftermath, and a little bit of Onslaught, so I've heard. But Cary and that guy in Defenders of the Realm, I would always pick as Shang. When it comes down to looks, when it comes down to voice, or even skill, I would pick no one else. And Cary, he's like the ideal voice actor of my Mortal Kombat works, and my Khronology especially. The thing was, I switched between those two. Like, he would start as Cary in my Khronology, but he would switch to that other guy in Defenders of the Realm, for Defenders of the Realm, as well as Shaolin Monks Part 2. And by the time Vengeance comes around, by the time the Deadly Alliance comes out, it'll switch back to Cary again. To Cary. To Cary Tagawa, yeah. It would switch back to him in looks and in voice. And to be honest, I never liked his looks in Deadly Alliance, or any of the 3D games for that matter, because he maintained his same look. Like, ugh. Personally, it's not one of my favorites. It's one of the least favorites, especially in MK9. But he has pretty much died twice as Cary in my Khronology. Like, the first time would be a little spoilers in my series finale, because, you know, it's Armageddon. And the second time in the one-shot Contentment, because it was based on the events of Mortal Kombat 11 and Aftermath. 11 Aftermath, mostly. So, I didn't pick the Liu Kang. I picked the Liu Kang ending, but I didn't pick the Shang Tsung one. So, as Cary pretty much died twice. But the thing is, my last feelings for Cary, it wasn't all that good. Like, I kept my distance from him because he was a Biden supporter. Kind of like Richard, kind of like Veronica, kind of like all those other bastards that turned out to be evil. I should know very many, especially from Blue Sky. But there goes his Twitter page. Unless it's survived by his offspring. His children, grandchildren, his wife if she's still around. Maybe they'll keep that Twitter page alive as archives? I don't know. But even though he was like a minor character in Big Trouble in Little China, He was one of the swordsmen, the clan swordsmen during that alley civil war that Wang and Jack Burton got into. He was one of the miscellaneous swordsmen, and that was his first movie role. That was his first movie role for Cary. I didn't know that. But he was one of the miscellaneous swordsmen, so it was a start. Ironic, since he is eventually Shang Tsung, and one of the inspirations for Shang was in fact David Lo Pan, aside from Han in Enter the Dragon. So, coincidence, destiny, I don't know. But, rest in peace, man. I'll always remember you as Shang. I'll always remember you as the deal voice of Shang no matter what. With Defenders of the Realm to be second best, but it really concerns me. It scares me what Shang's legacy holds. Because as far as Woker Bros goes, they're not doing so well at all. They're selling out their properties to like Paramount and Netflix and Comcast. I don't really like where this is going. Like, in terms of Mortal Kombat, that's all I care about. I don't care about Looney Tunes anymore. I grew out of it. But it's mostly in terms of Mortal Kombat. And they said by the end of the year, there would be a highest bidder, or maybe there'll be a split. Who knows? But in the next year, the next end of the year, it would be officially decided. It would be officially decided about Woker Bros' properties being sold out. But I only care about Mortal Kombat in that regard. I dislike pretty much everything on the stupid new era. You could see my rant on that. Dominic's failed experiment, but I didn't like the actor, and it doesn't really count because it's AI. AI doesn't count. Unless if it's done with absolute respect and, fuck AI art. Unless if it's done by the fans. They do one hell of a job better than corporations. Awesome Cage Productions, Anaconda, that sort of thing. They do a hell of a lot better than what the corporations can do. I don't know why they wouldn't hire fans. The fans can do a hell of a better job on everything. Especially when it comes to, gameplay for Mortal Kombat Legacy. They could have just ripped off emulators. 'Cause everything functions. It has a great deal of functionality. Whereas where Digital Eclipse gets it, it's shitty. They always have those technical patches and all that crap, all those updates. They could have just ripped off emulators and add extra content, and that would be the end of that. They don't do that. They're so incompetent. Anyway, I dislike what the current Shang is. And it doesn't really count because of AI. So, if there's anyone who should take Cary's place as Shang, it would definitely be that guy in Defenders of the Realm. I wouldn't consider anyone else, no matter what. I'm very picky, but, that's how we get that term, ideal voice actors. And in my chronology, it's that. It's just those two, that's it. So, yeah, same thing with Luke Perry and Sub-Zero. I would go with Luke Perry or Steve Blum. But it won't be easy because, they passed. So, that's the end of that. Rest in peace, Cary. I'll always miss you as Shang. We'll always miss you as Shang, most of all. And on that regard of people and things passing, Donut, the alpha male of the capybaras, The most lovable, the most wisest, the most experienced, the most peaceful amongst those herds had passed recently, as of December 1st. But yeah, I agree with Liz when she says that his suffering has ended. I'm pretty sure the herds are devastated because they're run by imperialistic machines. And I have no regrets at all when I said that Japan is the second North Korea. The Prime Minister does absolutely nothing, and I kept tagging her on Twitter and YouTube and shit. Even the ASPCA and PETA, they do nothing. They do nothing to spare the Cappies. One of these days, if I get my ideas together, one of these days I might have to break through. I have to follow through on this rant that I've been saving up for, like, Mortal Kombat, the capybaras going to Yin Yang Island, evacuating from China and Japan because they're just evil. They have no animal laws at all. No matter what country it is. And even Choco, the brother of Donut, was separated unfairly, relocated involuntarily, and sold to China from Japan. And nobody ever told Liz of Donut's passing. She just found out. Because Japan is evil with animals. I mean, the greed with Nintendo and Square Enix, that's just the tip of the imperialistic iceberg. And I kept saying, fuck Japan. I will always hate Japan forever because of those reasons. And it's only the tip of the iceberg when they said that they're firing U.S. workers from Square Enix, which I don't give half a shit about anymore, because I dropped out since 2011. Dissidia Duodecim, Theatrhythm, those were my last hurrahs. And you can look at my fanfic Dissidia Shadowgate, the crossover, which I finished back in 2017, and I made a podfic about. I have no regrets at all. And I have no regrets when I say that Japan is imperialistic. It's not communism, it's greed, it's avarice. It's human machines. They don't give a shit about lower life forms, just as the Elder Gods don't care. They're petty. The Elder Gods don't give a shit about the lower life forms like gods and mortals, and I feel it's the same fucking way. I mean, no offense to Cary, because he went from Japan when he moved to the US when he was a kid in the 1950s. And it's kind of a good thing because, you know, it's like the aftermath of World War II and the Pacific Conquest. And the Cold War was going on, you know, the Korean War, eventually Vietnam, that kind of thing. The Cuban Missile Crisis, all of that jazz. The Cold War was going on, so I'm kind of glad they did this. No. It's ridiculous. Japan is, as of now, ridiculous, and I feel that imperialism is just like chicken pox reactivating as shingles. That's exactly how I feel about this. And the Prime Minister Sene is literally doing nothing because the capybaras are still suffering. They haven't been moved back to Sotogwara. And they should have, in order to prevent more casualties. You know, if I were the Prime Minister of Japan, I would sentence those neglectful zookeepers for murder. Anyone would. Here in the US, 'cause we have laws that they don't. They hardly have any regulations. Like in terms of anime and all that jazz. And they still have the age of consent as a minority age. At 16. From 14. Like 2 years. It makes no difference. Because there, the adult age is 17 because, you know, You could take notes from Ocarina of Time. And adult Link is 17 because he was 10 in the child era. Same deal with Pokemon trainers, that kind of thing, obviously. I guess they got inspiration off of each other, Zelda and Pokemon, I wish. I wish there were crossovers, but like I did. So, 17 is the adult age, it should have been that. But no, 16. 16 from 14. They have no regulations, no laws, no animal laws. They're just the second North Korea. The capybaras are just existing. I feel awful. It makes me hate Japan, like forever. And it's not racism because that's the truth. How can it be racism if that's the truth? I have every reason to hate them, and so should everyone. Because of what they do to the capybara. They starve them, they neglect them, they abuse them, they have them in crowded places, always walking on cement instead of the soft grass and the soft earth, and it's freezing as hell, I'm sure. And they got a small weak ovens. They always have to cuddle each other, like with Choco and Donut. They always have to be so close to each other. Always, wrapping each other around themselves to keep warm because they're that neglectful. And the herds are still suffering. They're still separated. You would think they would change. They would learn their lesson, and they don't. I really hate this. And there's nothing they can do to redeem themselves as long as they're like this. It's just a reactivation of the imperialistic virus. I'm really ranting about this. But, yeah, that's on my mind too. And, he was 12 years old anyway, Donut. And that's like the old years of a capybara. I mean, they can live up to 15, but that's if they're lucky. Same deal with 13 years with dogs and cats. It's no different. And my old dogs, lived up to only they were 10 before they passed on. And so, yeah, there's that too. And also, last night, which is ironic, actually it's not last night, it was a little before that, after Cary's passing, I actually found a nostalgic holiday concert, Forever Christmas, since I was in 4th grade, since during my first year of choir, actually. It was the very first thing that I had done in the Forked River School. I had 2 years there. And I also found the Nutcracker. The Nutcracker I had found, not from the same schools, mind you, but they're different schools, but just the exact compositions. There was nothing taken out. The arrangements were the same as I remember them. I mean, heck, I even remember the songs. Most of them. And the cues. And the key changes. So, yeah, I'll probably, repost those. Jeez. I'm sorry I exploded earlier, but you gotta understand this. We gotta understand this. How neglectful Japan is. And I'm very glad that Cary moved to the U.S. as soon as he did. With the Cold War and all that jazz. The aftermath of World War II, that kind of thing. At least I know a little bit of the history. And that's all we gotta do in order to not let history be repeated. And we do! Anyway. Yeah, so I found those 2 holiday concerts. And I wish they were recorded, and I wish that former was recorded and it wasn't. It took me eons to find with no luck. Same deal with the Nutcracker. I mean, it was recorded, but I lost the VHS tapes because of my deprived life when I was leaving it. My ex-step-family, they destroyed pretty much everything that we had. So, from Cary and Richard Epcar, because they were Democrats, they were Biden supporters. I kind of took it personally. But I hope Matthew Young King is doing well, despite the failures, the AI. I really want his badassery again as Liu Kang in MK11 and Aftermath, training the great Kung Lao. But if you looked up in my one-shot, you'll see. I hope I'll put that project together, the Capybara Caper, because, we lost Donut. He was one of the all-time best. I wish more people would know about their plight, who he is. Their lost herds, Japan's neglect and abuse, always treating people and animals like items, like with the game developments. It's a lot more than that. So, yeah, as for what I want for Christmas, probably just a new mic. And, maybe copies of birth certificates or social security numbers because of my new mom's immigration. I kinda lost some things. So I hope maybe, if possible, I'll be prepared and just make copies and fill out the paperwork accurately. 'Cause it's in the government records. Your information is still there. It's just to verify it. And hopefully just be more prepared, for taxes and shit. 'Cause, we've been through a lot. Been through a lot with legal immigration, not illegal, legal. And my new mom is a permanent citizen after 2 years. And she was married to my dad. She visited twice, but every time her tourist visa expired, so she had to redo the process. She had to marry my dad. She had to fill out the paperwork. All those excruciating due dates, and thus losing whatever was needed. They won't give it back, or we'll misplace them, that kind of thing. So for Christmas, I just want extra copies, certified copies of whatever we lost, whatever I lost, mostly, and a different mic. 'Cause I want to do a better job with my environmental levels, 'Cause that'll be on the agenda for next year, 2026. Thank you for your votes, by the way. And, environmental levels, I did 6 in the past. And I got 11 more ideas. One might be optional, which is opening levels. It's not really environmental, but still. It'll be nice to have. So, thanks for the votes for 2026. That'll be my next countdown series to tackle. So, there's Christmas, there's future projects, there's the Capybara plight, there's Cary's passing, along with Donuts the day before, or a few days before. And I'm just worried on the legacy of Mortal Kombat. It should be sold out to Paramount or Comcast. I'm not very confident, because Comcast had Illumination. Huge backlogs. I haven't seen the Mario Bros. Movie yet. I haven't seen the Sonic movies yet in Paramount. And I hear that Paramount isn't all that good either. So, with Cary's passing, I'm worried about the legacy of Mortal Kombat. What his next voice actor is. Like Charles Martinet. Is he retired? I don't really trust Chris Pine. No, not Chris Pine. That guy that did Star-Lord. Chris Pratt. You saw my rant on Star-Lord and my console series finale. That I got back to Guardians with a Telltale series because Volume 2 spat me out. Because of him. So, I'm worried where this is going. I always worry about the future and dwell in the past. I always have rumination. And that can be a mental disorder, but I always have that. So, rest in peace, Cary. Rest in peace, Donut. And to your lost herd that also passed, I hope we would be lucky to see them in heaven. Maybe purgatory first, I'm not sure. We aren't perfect. So, yeah, I guess that's it. I guess that's all that's on my mind. I'm sorry for the explosion, but it had to be said. Just like in my last vlog. So, if I don't make another vlog, I wish you all happy holidays, Merry Christmas, that kind of thing, Happy New Year. So, I'm the Ecron Writers, signing out. Ciao.